Moto 260 no back and steam motor. He has 2 small wheels up front and 6 small wheels in the middle and over the back. He runs on cold water, even though he has no back and steam engine, and he knows he's not strong enough to run the motor. The Moto 260 always finds his body good. One day Moto 260 was going to take her to the milk, stirring hot inside the milk. And up Challenger's hill. Challenger's hill is steep. Moto climbed hard. It was a long climb for him. Just then Challenger arrived at the bottom of the hill, but today his front passenger was heavy, and Challenger had to wait for Moto 260 to help him. Water, shut Challenger. Soon Moto 260 struck to the rescue. He called up behind Challenger. Bob went to push, and Challenger pulled. And left, his front passenger train started to move. Moto finally reached the top of the hill when Challenger jumped past him. Slow coach, he huffed. I'm trying my hardest, yes, Moto 260. Puff, snapped Challenger. You're not even a proper normal steam engine. This made Moto 260 very sad. That evening, Dave Baldwin came to see Moto 260. Moto 260 needed a dock, he said. You weren't working to play on his way. We'll never be able to do both jobs. But Moto, he's a proper steam motor. Nonsense, said Dave. You will never be able to do both, and you might be 100% useful. Moto 260 was very worried. What if he wanted to use for all? The next morning, Moto trucked nervously out of his shed. I hope no one ain't pointing out Challenger's hill, he huffed. Moto 260 wished he was a proper normal steam motor. Then Moto arrived at the train car, rolled out the freight car, and they were very heavy to him. I'm going to be able to control all of them. Like Moto, you can do it, Moto. Then he threw crap. That made Moto 260 feel much better. Then he started to the freight car. He started box parts for DNSF. And box parts for DN class. He even started parts for DNSF. Maybe I can do it, said Moto. But then Challenger jumped out. He was holding his front passenger to the coach. Moto 260 watched as Challenger trucked towards the hill. Challenger truck revolved his mighty puff. But once again, the front passenger train was too heavy. Challenger was stuck. Walter, he huffed roughly. Challenger's driver called the yard worker, and the yard worker came to see Moto 260. You need to push Challenger to the top of the hill, he said. Yes, sir. Well, Moto, but Challenger's too heavy for me to push. Moto puffed worriedly. Don't worry, said he do class all. You can do it, Moto. I'll do the best I can. He huffed, and he trucked toward Challenger's hill. When Challenger heard that Moto 260 was coming, he was very grumpy. Moto 260 was no fast, just steam motor, he snapped. He will never be able to push me up the hill. Moto 260 hovered up behind Challenger. Then he pushed with his might. Challenger didn't move. His brother could do. He huffed. They could have sent a Moto steam train. Moto 260 was about to give up already, but then he remembered that he could already. I can do it. I can do it, he said. Moto 260 pushed harder and harder. Then suddenly, Challenger's wheels started to move. Moto kept pushing. His engine roared. His axles ate. Challenger moved slowly up the hill. When he was at the steamer, Moto 260 pushing. He blew the whistle excited. You did it, Moto, go on, my friend. Moto huffed and trucked. When he left, he pushed Challenger right to the top of the hill. Challenger was wet. Now his front passenger train was time. Moto was tired, but he felt very happy. I did it, he said excitedly. That evening, Dave Baldwin came to see Moto 260. Today you are a very proper new indeed, he said. Thank you, sir. Then Moto 260 was happy. And even though Moto was regular proper steam motor, he felt to be proper and more polite after all. It cold and snowy on the United States Railroad. The village children had built a snow engine. They were excited. The winter Christmas holiday was here. People who come from far away to visit the United States. But this time there was more snow than usual. It covered the United States of America and blocked the road. The Polar Tennessee buses couldn't take in passengers, so Dave Baldwin came to see the engine. New York Federal 060, you are the bold passenger today. 060 was very worried. He reduced weight and the freight car in the yard. He had to pull passengers before he didn't fight away. You need to Challenger will tell you how to do it, he said. Arnold Fritz rolled the motor, he said. I could be slowed down by a small hill like 060. You need to Challenger 060 to the coach people. But when New York Federal 060 back to the passengers, he banged them very hard. No, you need to stop moving. Challenger daily. Watch me. You'll soon learn how to pull passengers. So Challenger backed up to his coaches and called up to them gently. Very smooth, said the manager. The best couple I've ever seen. Challenger was so proud, he finally forward. Maybe he can NYC 060 will be fine. He thought. Then he'll see how to make it on the best. Soon Challenger and NYC 060 arrived at the station. Perfect, he said. Then 060 dropped up. What about passengers, he asked, including whistle. And we crossed the steam. You're doing it all wrong, said Challenger. Don't we have passenger on board? Watch me. Challenger waited. No passenger on board. He missed the steam. Challenger was proud. He liked 060. He was the best. Challenger was having fun. But 060 wanted. He was set up. Challenger and 060 trucked to the snow countryside. Challenger trucked to the snow valley. And 060 trucked to the icy ridge. Later, Challenger and 060 went out of the station. The passenger were all on board. 060 reached the steam. You'll learn a little bit from Challenger, but you're still not doing it right. Watch me. Challenger reached the steam and pulled out of the station. Big blue show up, said 060 upsetly. But Challenger wasn't listening. He was already stuck into the countryside. I'm so clever, he thought. You're making a control. And what? Watch me, said Challenger, to make that Moto 260. I thought life was smoothly. Then he went back, Moto. Watch me, I'm the best of the best. Challenger popped into the station. He was very excited. There were a lot of people to show up to. What a blue happy bow! Challenger was so pleased to show off. He didn't see how icy the tracks were. Challenger slid right through the station and into a slide-in. Everyone watched as Challenger trudging up deep out of snow. Yuck! Well, Challenger in a second. Let me know the Dave Baldwin was very quiet. I asked you to keep New York Central 060. He said, really? Not sure what I'll have to do. You're so sorry, sir, said Challenger quietly. Then New York Central 060 come by. He pulled me into the station. All the passengers right sitting on the platform. Challenger passengers had to walk through the snow. Challenger was very embarrassed. His feet went in the boat. Seat loaded and carefree. But New York Central had to steam right pulled out of the snow drift. Later that evening, it was time to go home. The passengers were all aboard Challenger and 060. Challenger wanted to show 060 how smooth he could puff, but then he couldn't remember sliding into the snow drift. Challenger didn't want to slow again at all. 060, you go first, he puffed. Show me how smooth you can go. So 060 got out of the station, and he was at Challenger's phone. So Challenger and 060 trucked to the snow countryside, and he was at Challenger didn't show up once. So Challenger and 060 went back to the house. Did you see how smooth I puffed? Asked 060. Yes, said Challenger. You have one very well. 060 was very proud. But there again, said Challenger, I have a very good teacher. You consider Challenger a big brain flat, and the fastest engine in all of Pioneer Women. He loved going to passenger express train. Challenger saying the most important thing in the world in all of Pioneer Women. One day, Challenger was only a passenger train out before he called off, but trying to deal on the same line. Oh my word, he snapped. Passenger express went through. Trying to had it back on. This made him mad. You see me over back out, he sneered. When nobody gave all the realizes, you guys all be scrapped. Scrapped, thought Challenger. Look, I'm faster than everyone. And he kept on happening out of Challenger was speaking to the countryside. He was having a wonderful awesome day. But then he heard a horrible squeaking noise. Challenger was upset. Squeaking could only mean one thing. Something was wrong. What if trying to do it right, he thought. What if Dave Baldwin scratched me? Challenger squeaked sadly towards the bridge. The bridge was over and Challenger had to slow down. The slower he went, the quieter the squeak became. Challenger was delighted. Ha ha, he said. If I go slowly, no one will hear me squeak. And he cut slowly back to the roundhouse. That evening, Dave Baldwin came to see Challenger. Tomorrow was a very special day, he said. I'm taking some Chinese and go on a boat trip. You Challenger, take it before the 12 o'clock. The boat leaves at 8 o'clock a.m., so you must not be late. The next morning, Challenger waited for everyone to go. Then he cut slowly away so no one would hear him squeak at all. Once out of the roundhouse, he started to pick up speed. His business spun and the wheels spun, and he began to squeak again. Oh my goodness, he exclaimed. Then he heard something in a terrible word. It was a rattle. Oh dear, oh mother Godzilla, he cried. Trying to move right, I'm falling apart. What will Dave Baldwin say? So Challenger slowed down. Challenger crawled slowly into the station to watch the Shining Angel. Challenger's blower sank. His team went slowly to the Shining Angel to miss the boat trap. But if he went quickly, Dave Baldwin would hear the squeak and rattle. He knew Challenger ran out and sent him into the scrap yard. With the Shining Angel on board, Challenger trucked slowly out of the station. Challenger trucked slowly to the countryside. He thought he would never 100% well. But Dave Baldwin was very confused. He spoke to Challenger. Whatever the problem with you, Challenger? Yeah, you must go faster and quickly. What is Shining Angel miss the boat? And that's what I'm going to do. Yes, sir, said Challenger sadly. Remember, added Dave Baldwin, you are the fastest engine in the whole of Pioneer Women. This made Challenger very proud. This might be less quick, he said. Well, I'll get the Shining Angel to go on time. His wheels turned faster. His business pumped harder. Must be on time, he puffed. So he began to squeak and rattle too. And then he ran another noise. Unlocking noise. But Challenger didn't care. It was his last quick to go as quickly as possibly ever could. Challenger squeaked, rattled, and knocked, and rattled all the way to the word clock. While the 260 and New York Central 060 was flying, they never let me go when they all later. Sounds like another steam motor regular scrap yard trying to. But Challenger didn't care about time too. He had a 100% good time, and the Shining Angel passed the boat. I made it, he explained proudly. Thank you, Counter. Counter explained proudly. I knew you could do it, said Game Over. But why have you been repaired? Yes, Counter. You have been making a lot of noises, said Game Over. You might need that random with that. So do not want to scrap me? Yes, Counter. Scrap Counter, said Game Over. I would never scrap my favorite random. You have a fast, listen, powerful engine, tail, traveling, portable passenger express. Counter being a flight. Counter spent the next 8 minutes his actual wheat and his wheel level. At last, he didn't even find anymore. Counter was good new, and he felt 100%. Challenger is a big, beautiful gray and black locomotive. He had a great big boiler and a separate tender for his coal. Calendar's favorite job is to pull the passenger express. One beautiful spring morning, Game Over came to see Challenger. Today, Challenger, if you pull the passenger express train across the United States and back again, you will set a new railway record. Challenger was proud. He wanted to set a new record more than anything. Hooray for Challenger! Cheered E2 clap, and all the engines whistled and cheered. Later, Challenger arrived at the coal depot. He chugged out of the coal chute, and his tender was quickly filled. Challenger started talking away when the coal manager saw him. Stop, Challenger! You've been given Northern 44's coal by mistake. Challenger knew Northern needed his special coal, but he thought his special coal would help him go faster, so he quickly pretended not to hear. Later, Northern 44 had to take tanker cars to the station. He rolled under the coal chute and waited for his coal. I'm sorry, Northern, but there's no special coal left. You'll have to use ordinary coal today. Northern 44 was worried. Ordinary coal stops his firebox from making steam, but he quickly knew he had work to do. It's only for one day, he thought. I'll try my very best as I can. Meanwhile, Challenger arrived at the station. His passengers boarded, and he set off right on time. Challenger chugged across the United States. He didn't know that it was Northern 44's special coal or the crisp bright air, but today it felt good to be Challenger. It didn't feel good to be Northern 44. Northern's tanker cars were very heavy, and his engine didn't like the ordinary coal at all. Challenger chugged across the United States. The record's mine, the record's mine. Northern 44 was having a 100% awful, terrible bad time. He was shivering, trembling, shaking, and rasping, quivering, rocking and rolling, coughing and weeping. The workmen are waiting! The workmen are waiting! He gasped. E2 thought Northern 44 looked very sick indeed. Meanwhile, Challenger was sizzling at the station and feeling grand. Then E2 chugged up. Have you seen Northern 44? He whistled. He looks very sick. I'm sure Northern's fine, whistled Challenger. But his face is green. He has his tender, said E2 flat worriedly. Now Challenger began to wish he hadn't taken Northern's special coal, but he still wanted to set a new record. When the signal changed, Challenger chugged off. But no matter how fast Challenger went, he couldn't get away from the bastion in his boiler. Challenger wasn't enjoying being himself anymore at all. Challenger arrived at the station to let out passengers. Northern 44 was taking on water. His face was green, his axles were shaking, and thick black dark smoke billowed from his funnel. Are you feeling all right? asked Challenger. I didn't get my special coal this morning, coughed Northern 44. My firebox feels a little bit funny, but then it was time for Challenger to go. Hooray for Challenger, said Northern. You'll set a new record for sure. Challenger chugged toward the station up ahead. Gabe Oliver was there. Challenger was on time and going to set a new railway record, but Challenger's bad feeling was so strong he started boiling with her. Challenger slowed to a halt. You're going to be late, cried his driver. I don't care, whistled Challenger and started to revert. Challenger soon reached Northern 44. He stopped for a rest. Northern was surprised to see Challenger. I took your special coal this morning, said Challenger. I wanted to go faster more than ever than I thought already. I'm terribly awful sorry. But now, I have a 100% good idea. Challenger and Northern 44 swat tender. Northern's 44 firebox was full of special coal. Northern 44 felt better right away. Thank you, Challenger, said Northern, and together they chugged towards the station. But Challenger and the express passenger train were late. Only E2 class was there. Gabe Oliver had gone home for his lunch in his truck. I'm sorry you didn't set a new railway record today, said Northern. But I'm sorry I took your special coal, said Challenger. Who held the old record, said E2 class. Why, I did. And the good friends laughed. It was a bacon hot summer on the United States Railroad. The sun was shining brightly. Moscow Metro Class A and Peruvian T18 were taking children to the beach. It was a wonderful job. All the engines loved seeing the children's happy faces, and they loved to hear them cheer when they saw the sea of the beach. LMS wished he was taking children to the seaside, but LMS was taking tanker cars of raspberry syrup to the ice cream factory. Down at the beach it was very 100% hot, and the ice cream lay run out of ice cream. But when LMS arrived at the ice cream factory, the factory manager was waiting for him. We have to make lots of more ice cream, he cried. You have to go and get the cream, the chocolate, and the strawberry. LMS was very disappointed. He had lots to collect, and he wanted to take children to the seaside. If we get everything in time, said LMS's driver, then we can still take some children. So LMS rushed to the dairy as fast as he could. He collected the tanker cars of cream, and he chugged away quickly. Next, LMS had to collect some strawberries, so he rushed through the countryside to the country farm. Then, LMS had to stop for Peruvian. Out of the way, snorted Peruvian. Passengers, please go through! Peruvian T18 passengers were full of laughing children. They were going to the beach. Why did Peruvian get to take the children? moaned LMS. At last the crossing was clear, LMS tread away. If I'm quick, I can still take some of the children, he thought, so LMS raced as fast as he could. LMS arrived at the farm. Please be quick, LMS panted. The farm workers loaded his freight car. It was soon filled with plump red strawberries. Thank you, LMS puffed, and he chugged away. Next, he had to go to the chocolate factory. LMS hurried for the bacon sun. I still got time to take children to the seaside, he panted. LMS raced faster and faster. His wheels clattered and his pistons pumped. But he chugged so fast to see them indeed came the points in time. LMS raced down the wrong track. Son of a gun, groaned LMS. LMS had to reverse slowly and carefully back to the point. He had to wait while Metro Class A went past. Metro Class A was taking more children to the beach. They were having a wonderful time. Everyone gets to take the children except me, moaned LMS. At last the signal changed the point. LMS reversed back down to the junction. And soon he was on his way once again. When LMS arrived at the chocolate factory, it was getting late. Hurry up, cried LMS. If I'm quick, I still might be able to get to take some children. The workers load LMS's freight car as fast as they can. It was soon filled with pieces of chocolatey cocoa powder. LMS was ready to go. but the shutters hadn't set the brakes on the freight cars. LMS pulled as hard as he could, but the freight cars wouldn't move. I have to hurry, he huffed. He huffed and he puffed and he heaved so hard. The coupling broke. LMS shot forward. Cocoa powder flew everywhere. Now I'll never get to take the children, no LMS. After a little bit of a long time, LMS's freight cars were ready. The yard manager had released the brakes, and LMS trucked carefully out of the yard. Finally, the tractor left past the old church. Finally, LMS arrived at the chocolate factory. He got his job nearly done, but he was wrong. The factory manager was waiting for him. The ice cream will soon be ready, he said. You must take it to the beach for me. LMS was very disappointed. He wished he could take children to the seaside instead. He wanted to hear the children he saw the sea. Church along the coast to the beach. I wish I was taking the children, moaned LMS. New York Central 060 were waiting at the seaside station, and so were lots of children. They all cheered as LMS pulled into the station. LMS was surprised. Why are the children cheering? He said. They're cheering for you, laughed 060. They've been waiting for the ice cream. The children were delighted to see LMS and delighted to eat ice cream. LMS loved seeing the children laugh and cheer. Gabe Oliver was waiting with the children. Today you worked extra hard, said Gabe Oliver. You are a really useful and delivering ice cream is a fun job after all, said LMS. He was very 100% happy. It was summertime on the United States Railroad. Challenger pulled the passenger express train. It was very busy, but Challenger always loved the hustle and bustle. Northern 44 holds freight cars in the forest. He loved the peace and quiet, but he didn't see many people. Sometimes working in the forest can be a little bit lonely for him. Later, Northern arrived at the station. He was delighted to see all the passengers. But Challenger was not delighted to see Northern. Slowly slid away from my passengers, grumbled Challenger. But it's only logs, huffed Northern. Passengers and freight do not mix, huffed Challenger. Northern 44 watched the express passenger train shoved away. I like to pull passengers, sighed Northern, just for 100% change. Later, Northern stopped at a water tank at the edge of the forest. Some children were standing by one of the trees. What are those children doing? Northern asked E2 class. That's the old solar wishing tree, said E2 class. They must be making a wish. A wishing tree? Yes, Northern. How wonderful. Do you think you can make my wish come true? Asked Northern. It might, said E2 class, and he shoved away. Northern rolled up to the wishing tree. He took a heavy deep breath and made a wish as hard as he could. I wish I could pull the express passenger train instead of Challenger. Gabe Oliver came to see Northern 44. Tomorrow you will pull the passenger express train. Thank you, sir, said Northern. His wish had come true. The next morning, Northern arrived at the station. When all the passengers were on board, Northern blew his whistle. And he chugged out of the station. But Northern puffed too quickly. Go gently, called the driver. You can bump freight, but you can't bump passengers. Sorry, whistled Northern. Northern chugged through the countryside. Pulling passengers is a grand job, said Northern. Challenger was in the repair yard. He was being fitted with a new boiler. But Challenger felt very 100% lonely. He was missing his passengers. The passengers were missing Northern too. They were having the bountiest, bumpiest ride they ever had. That evening, when Northern 44 got back to the roundhouse, Gabe Oliver was waiting for him. There had been complaints, he said. Passengers are not like logs. You must be gentle. Yes, sir, said Northern. Being gentle was very difficult than he thought. Then Northern saw Challenger. He was looking miserable like an old man. My wish had made Challenger go to the repair yard, gasped Northern. This made Northern 44 feel very 100% awful bad. The next day, Northern 44 had to collect the dining car. He tried as hard as he could to be gentle. But he shunted the dining car so hard everything flew into the air. There were more bad complaints than ever. Northern 44 didn't want to pull passengers anymore. He wanted to wish everything back to normal. But when he arrived at the forest, Northern 44 couldn't remember which tree was the wishing tree. Oh no, he moaned. Which one could it be? Northern didn't know, so he decided to wish on all the trees. I wish I could pull freight again, he puffed. Then he moved to the next tree, and he wished again. I wish I could pull freight again, he puffed. Northern Oliver arrived on board E2 class. So what are you doing, Northern? He boomed. You are trying to shoot it away. Northern 44 told them all about the wishing tree. Wishing trees don't run railways, they gave. That's my job. Challenger just needs some repairs. He'll be back tomorrow. Northern 44 was delighted. Challenger came back to work. He looked at good news. The passengers were very pleased to see him. They cheered and cheered and cheered. Challenger being happy for the rest of the day. Northern was happy to be back in the peace and quiet of the forest. At the end of the day, he stopped near the wishing tree. And even though Gabe Oliver had told him trees don't run railways, Northern wishes he would never have to pull passengers ever again. Just in case to be exact. No pun intended. It was winter. A thick blanket of snow laid all over the United States Railroad. All over the railway. The engines were busy taking passengers and goods from station to station. Sometimes we need to warn people they are coming. So steam engines blow their whistles. And diesel engines sound their electric horn. One day, 060 was bringing some freight cars to the quarry. He whistled hello to Chun 2 and British Rail Class. But British Rail Class and Chun 2 laugh. Call that a whistle? Smart Chun 2. Just listen to this. Diesels can do everything better than steam engines, they sneered. My whistle's as good as your horn, said 060 crossly. Just you wait and see. 060 practiced loud whistling. He blew louder, and louder, and louder. At last he was ready to surprise Chun 2 and British Rail Class. Later, 060 went back to the quarry. He rolled up behind Chun 2 and British Rail Class, took an extra big puff and blew as loud as he could. Chun 2 and British Rail Class were surprised. I told you my whistle's as good as your silly old horn, laughed 060 as he puffed away. Now that he had a super loud whistle, 060 couldn't wait to use it again. When he saw LMS at E2, he took a big puff and blew as loud as he could. E2 and LMS were cross. That wasn't funny, they snapped meanly. 060 didn't notice. He was already having fun. Later, 060 saw Lightning McQueen Mater. He took another extra big puff and blew as loud as he could. Mater and McQueen skidded all over the road. 060, they snapped crossly. You nearly caused an accident. But 060 was already puffing away. That evening at the roundhouse, E2 and LMS tells 060 to stop surprising his friend. You made Mater and McQueen skated across the road, and our freight car got damaged. They snapped meanly. 060 was sorry. I won't do it again, he wailed and sobbed. I promise. Next morning, the sun shined and the birds sang, and 060 chucked upsetly out of the shed. He had an important job to do. He had to collect milk tankers from the dairy. So 060 rushed to the dairy as quickly as possibly as he could. But E2 and LMS were still cross and grumpy of what 060 had done. Then Gabe Oliver arrived. He wasn't happy with E2 and LMS at all. He spoke severely to them. LMS and E2, I am very upset for what you said to 060 last night for all that whistling he did yesterday. You two should be ashamed of yourself. You should learn to speak nicely to other engines and treat others with respect. This made LMS and E2 stop feeling grumpy, and they start feeling ashamed. We shouldn't have upset 060 in the first place, they thought. We're very sorry, sir. We'll apologize to him next time we see him. So E2 and LMS chugged out of the shed and started their work. That same morning, 060 was bringing the milk train from the dairy to the station. I wish I could have one more loud whistle, he huffed to himself. He couldn't see any people or engines, but there was something else 060 couldn't see at all. Frank the Combine was taking food to his tractor, with so much snow on the ground they couldn't find any grass or grain to eat. 060 took his biggest puff of all and blew. Frank was so surprised his rear bumped into a pile of logs. A log fell, rolled down the hill. Snow stuck to the log. It turned into a snowball. 060 was enjoying himself until he saw the snowball. "Oh no!" cried 060. "Oh no!" Luckily, no one was hurt, but his driver was cross. "Now I will have to go for help," he said. 060 waited in the cold. His funnel was freezing, and his axles were shivering. At last, E2 and LMS arrived with the crane car, with Gabe Oliver on board. He was very cross with 060 indeed. "Whistles are for safety," he told 060, "not for playing games. You must only use your whistle when the time is right," he said. "We're sorry we got a little snappy at you last night, 060, they apologized. "We shouldn't have been so upset with you, bud." The next day, 060 was a very quiet engine indeed, and he didn't use his whistle once at all. But when 060 came out of the tunnel, he gasped. A big snow drift had fell onto the track. Then 060 heard LMS and E2. They were headed straight for the snow drift. If they did not stop in time, they would have an accident. "I must warn him," cried 060. 060 took the biggest puff he'd ever taken, and he blew the loudest whistle he ever blown. "Something must be wrong," cried E2 and LMS. And he applied their brakes just in time. "Cinders and ashes," cried E2 and LMS. "Thank you, 060. That evening, Gabe Oliver came to see 060. "Well done, 060, boomed Gabe Oliver. "You blew your whistle at the right time and saved LMS and E2 from an accident. You are a really useful engine, and a safe one, too." 060 smiled at his firebox tingle. 060 uses his whistle properly now, and his friends are always glad to see him. There are railway lines all over the United States of America Railroad. The railway lines run from the Holland place right across the train yard through the countryside. So all the engines all over the United States want to be real useful, taking goods, passengers, and doing tons of work like they used to. So there are lots of signals. They help the engines stay safe as they go about their work. All the engines have favorite jobs. Challenger loves Bobby Express. Challenger thinks it's the most important job in the United States of America. And Challenger likes to feel 100% important too. One morning, Gabe Oliver came to see Challenger. "Challenger," said Gabe Oliver, "the points are broken. An important mechanic is coming to fix them. You must pick them up from the station. Then you must take them to the points as quickly as possible as you can." "Don't worry, sir," said Challenger. "I'll get them to the points for you." So Challenger steamed out of the shed and to pick up the mechanic. Challenger steamed towards the station. All the engines were stuck. They couldn't go anywhere until the points were fixed. "Hurry up, Challenger!" They all had to wait as Challenger chugged grandly along the express line. "I'm an important engine collecting an important passenger," he said proudly. Challenger felt very 100% grand to himself. Soon Challenger arrived at the station, and then he stopped. There was a passenger with a toolbox waiting on the platform. "He must be the important mechanic," thought Challenger. "All aboard!" he hooted, and the man with the toolbox climbed on board. "Wait," said the station master. "Hurry the buses, bring more passengers." "I can't wait," thought Challenger. "I have a very important passenger on board, so I have to leave now." So Challenger left the station. Challenger was feeling very proud of himself, but he didn't know that the man with the toolbox wasn't the mechanic, or that Bertie the bus brought the mechanic with all the other passengers. They were still waiting on the platform. "Oh no," groaned the mechanic. "I missed my train. How will I ever fix the points now?" Challenger clattered past 060. Then he clattered past Prugen. "Important express engine goes through," he puffed. This made Prugen very cross, but the man with the toolbox was having a wonderful time. He was the only passenger, and he didn't have to stop at any of the other stations at all. Well, finally, Challenger arrived at the broken point where E2 was waiting. "I'm glad you're here," said E2. "None of the other engines can move until the points are fixed." But the man with the toolbox was very confused. "I'm not the mechanic," said the man. "I'm a carpenter. I thought Challenger was taking me to Port of Dock." "Oh no, I left the mechanic behind," groaned Challenger. "I'll have to go back and get him." "Well, you can't revert down the express line with the express," said the signalman. "Maybe you could try going onto my line," puffed E2. "That's a good idea," puffed Challenger. "Thank you, E2." So Challenger back down the line and left his express coaches and uncoupled up from them. Then he steamed onto E2's track. He quickly reversed down E2's line, but he found Prugen blocking his way. "Out of my way," puffed Challenger. "I got a very poor passenger to collect." You can't get past," puffed Prugen. "I can only go far to the next station, then 060's in the way." Challenger felt 100% terribly awful. All the engines were stuck, and it was all his fault. "How can I collect the mechanic now?" he thought. Then Challenger had an idea. Maybe all the engines can help. So Challenger told Prugen his idea plan. So Prugen jumped back down the line to tell 060. "What a great plan," whistled 060. So 060 jumped back down the line to collect the mechanic. And the mechanic climbed on board. So 060 jumped back off the line toward Prugen. So 060 stopped at the station where Prugen was waiting. And Prugen took the mechanic to the next stop where Challenger was waiting. Finally, Challenger took the mechanics of the broken point. The points were soon fixed, and all we had is to puff through. Thank you, Challenger. Whistle E2. And the railway was completely back to normal again. Thank you for helping me today, Puff Challenger. Even an important big locomotive like me needs help sometimes.